This week we're going to highlight corn planting progress here in the U.S. as well as short-term weather trends. We're also going to take a look at indications of the dry season beginning for Brazilian corn. And we're going to wrap things up with ongoing concerns about the corn stunt disease in Argentina. Hi, this is Brian Basting with Advanced Trading. Let's talk about the corn market. We've moved into the last week in April here, and of course that means it's time to plant corn here in the U.S. Let's take a look at aggregate corn planting progress across the country. We're looking here at 12% of the corn planted as of April 21st. Now that's slightly ahead of the 10% average. We've really got some regional differences, however. Briefly looking at the West, states such as Kansas, Missouri are well ahead of average. Illinois slightly ahead of average, but notice in the East we're running behind the average in states such as Indiana as well as Ohio. Now let's take a look at the history of corn planting progress here. Again, this is looking at the last 6 years here. We're looking at some wide changes here year to year. However, on average, about 29% of the U.S. corn is planted between April 21st and May 5th. So if we're looking at 12% today, we should be approaching under normal conditions, weather permitting, around 40% as of that first week in May. Of course, the pace of corn planting will be directly tied to the weather. Let's take a look at the short-term forecast. Our slides this week, as usual, are courtesy of T-Storm Weather. Now, we're starting out here looking at the last 30 days as a proxy for subsoil moisture, and it really amplifies how dry it is there in the west in places like Kansas, parts of northern Missouri, and that's where corn planting is most advanced. Across the heart of the Corn Belt or the middle of the Corn Belt, Illinois is kind of in the middle there. Some areas are a little wet, some areas are actually a tad dry. But moving in the further east, notice how wet it's been in Indiana, Ohio, and stretching out into Pennsylvania. Now let's look at the forecast here. 2 stormy periods coming up this weekend. That includes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and Monday. Heaviest rain in that pink area there, perhaps 2 inches. Other areas could be 1 inch. The light green area, the green area be a 1/2 inch. Regardless though, look at the heaviest area right across some of those areas that probably could use it at this point, including Missouri as well as eastern Kansas. As you go further east though, that's looks like it's not going to be as wet, which would be beneficial for parts of Ohio and Indiana, maybe that are looking at wet conditions at the moment. Now let's look at the next 2 weeks. Next 2 weeks, all those green areas are wet, but again, further east, not quite as wet there in Ohio and Indiana, but it does look like we're going to get some moisture here short term. Let's switch our focus now to South America, look at where that corn is produced in Brazil. Now, Brazil corn is pollinating as we speak here in late April. We'll continue to do so into May. Looking at Mato Grosso, that corn is in the pollination stage at the moment. As we go further south, however, in Mato Grosso do Sul and Paraná, that corn isn't quite as far along. Now let's look at the moisture situation. The last serious dry weather situation was in 2021. Look at that, 2021, very dry. 75% of the corn was dry. This year, almost none of the corn is dry. So the corn does have some backstop in terms of moisture supply. Let's take a look now at short-term forecast for Brazil. Now, moisture supply may be important because between those purple lines, very little moisture into the first week in May. Let's quantify that over the next 14 days. You can see heavy amount of red on that picture there. Not much rain. So again, that moisture backstop, subsoil moisture will be important. Let's now take a look at Argentina. We highlighted this last week. Now Argentina here, there's a pest called the corn stunt disease. It's spread by corn leaf hoppers. That's really becoming a front page story now in many instances. And what we've tried to do is quantify, if this crop is shrinking, what that might mean on March to corn exports. That's our slide here looking at the reduction, for example, down at 50 million tons. They lose around 100 million bushels of March to corn exports. So it's something we're going to stay on top of here for you moving into the months of May and June. Let's wrap things up this week looking at trends in December corn. Now, December corn, as you tape here, is trading near $4.75 a bushel. You can see that that's edging a bit higher than what it was during that crop insurance period in February, but we're just entering a period for increased potential price volatility. So we strongly encourage you to work closely with your trusted risk management advisor to manage price movement. Now, if you'd like more information, please feel free to contact us at 800-664-2321. We'll put you in contact with one of our risk management consultants. We'll be happy to visit with you at your convenience. Remember, we upload every Wednesday. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an upload. Thanks a lot. Have a good week.